Jamaica is bracing for the arrival of Hurricane Melissa, which forecasters say could be the strongest storm to hit the Caribbean island in recorded history. It's gathering strength as it approaches the island and has been upgraded to a Category 5 hurricane, the highest classification. It sustained winds of 260 kilometres an hour and is expected to make a landfall in Jamaica early on Tuesday. Mandatory evacuation orders have been issued for several parts of the island, and residents are being told to head to shelters before it's too late. Forecasters are warning of catastrophic flooding, landslides and extensive damage. Let's take a look at what's expected with meteorologist Matthew Cappucci, who joins us from Florida in the United States. Welcome, Matthew. Jamaica is used to hurricanes, but I understand a Category 5 is a big deal. What's the island likely to see?
Bill, it's good to see you again. You know, with the Category 5, it's not just the wind, it's a multitude of hazards. They will see high-end flooding from up to a meter plus of rainfall in the higher elevations. They'll see tornado-like swaths of extreme winds. We're talking 250 plus kilometers per hour in terms of gusts. They'll see tsunami-like flooding at the coastline with a 3 to 5 meter storm surge as we push water against the coastline, perhaps near Kingston. All these hazards married together lead to a very high-end scenario where people have to take actions to protect their life. Now, the reason I'm in Florida right now is because last night I flew into the eye of the storm with NOAA's hurricane hunters. We were in an aircraft that literally flew right to the middle of the high-end Category 4, now Category 5 storm to take measurements. And I can tell you, being in the middle of that storm was breathtaking, mesmerizing, humbling, and at the same time, heart-sinking to know what's coming to Jamaica later on today and tomorrow.
Because what can you see? What did you see in the eye of the storm itself?
Bill, imagine being on an airplane that is simultaneously in a washing machine. When you're in the majority of the hurricane, you can't see a thing. You just know you're being rattled around as meteorologists on board take measurements to relay back to the National Hurricane Center. The turbulence is extreme. I certainly reached for the motion sickness bag several times. But then, right as the rattling and the bouncing around is getting to its worst, you're suddenly in the eye, this oasis of calm in the center of the hurricane. This roughly 15-kilometer wide column with absolute nothingness. You have hot, dry, sinking air punching out a hole in the middle of the storm. And as you're in that middle, you can look all around you and see upwards of 15, almost 20 kilometers tall, hulking thunderstorms swirling around. That's the eye wall, the buzzsaw of extreme winds. You're basically in the middle of the whirlpool. At the same time, I noticed I was sort of beginning to sweat, because when you're in the middle, that's like this warm column. Temperatures might be 9, 10 degrees Celsius inside the eye compared to outside the storm, because hurricanes are warm core systems. And to stand in a zone of pure peacefulness and calm, where everything's suddenly quiet and there's no jostling around and it's smooth, but knowing that all around you, a hellacious buzzsaw is just enacting utter destruction is bizarre.
So how long before it hits Jamaica, and how are authorities preparing for this devastating event?
Jamaica right now is getting the outer rain bands. They're likely seeing squally weather. Tropical storm force conditions are already ongoing, and hurricane conditions will onset soon. Right now, it's mostly the rainfall, but then later on tonight and especially into tomorrow morning, we're expecting landfall, likely in the western half of the island. And remember, hurricanes have a really tightly coiled core. So until that core comes ashore, you won't see the high-end winds. But the second it does, that's when the winds will start gusting 200 plus kilometers per hour at the coastline. And the impacts will be extreme. So we think tomorrow morning is the main time frame. Right now, folks are sort of sheltering in place. Hopefully they've evacuated inland from the surge. They're not in a landslide area, but really they just have to shelter in an interior room away from windows and hope they're above the flooding line.
Thanks, Matt. Meteorologist Matthew Cappucci.
Thank you.